Soul Garden.
Hello, my fellow Soul Gardeners, and welcome to Just Ask Chris. We're in episode 2, and we're answering your questions. Actually, it's episode 3. We had an introduction. On to episode 3. Moving down the line. So the first question I'm going to answer today goes to Jake. This is in order of which they were posted. And Jake is asking about what the opposition between Jupiter and Saturn is going to mean. Apparently, Jake has the North Node at 0 degrees, Chiron, the Moon, Venus, and the Sun and Saturn in the 11th in Aries. Jake, you are Aries heavy, my brother. Very Aries heavy. But yet you subscribe to Soul Nirvana, so that tells you right away that you're a Chapter 3 Aries. Chapter 1 Aries probably know it all, right? This is going to be a dynamic time. Jupiter is crossing really most of the planets in your chart, which means you're going through a rapid growth period right now. As Jupiter crosses each one of these planets, it's already crossed the North Node in January, but as it crosses, it's time to expand your career and time to expand your footprint in society. That's what the Jupiter crossing Aries is going to do for you. The last time Jupiter did this for you was 1999. So think about how your career, your view on your career, your view on your legacy, and your place in the world expanded at that time. Now, of course, Saturn is opposing this, and I think the Saturn work is just as important for you as the Aries work. Because you have so many planets in the 10th and 11th, this poses an imbalance between the 10th and 11th and your 4th and your 5th, which is self-nurturing and your heart's desire. So as you are expanding your career and you are expanding your place in society with Jupiter, you are retroactively in the background reconsidering how you need to take care of yourself. And that will be the case for this time right now, between now and the summer. Really relooking at how you take care of yourself and also making sure that what you do out in society in this expansion is in alignment with your personal dreams. So you've got to be pursuing what your heart desires while expanding out the world. The two must be coordinated. And you are world heavy. You are career heavy, which means that you probably are not focused a lot on yourself or enough. So make sure with this opposition, it's kind of a back and forth between, okay, I want a little bit bigger career, but that means I'm going to need to get more sleep. Okay, I want to have a bigger audience, but that means I need to make sure I get time to play the guitar because that's what I really love and that's what inspires me, and find that balance between the two. And when it's all said and done, and Jupiter moves into Taurus this summer, not quite sure where your chart is, but I think you're going to go into a hermit period. So you're going to do all this expansion, and then when Jupiter goes into Taurus, you're going to hermit this summer, which means you're going to be very private to yourself. Doesn't mean you'll be completely hidden, but it's going to be a spiritual transit for you, where it now moves into your spirituality and your faith in yourself. Basically, you're going to go out to the world and say, I want to do this, I want to do that, and they're going to go, oh God, do I have the faith to do that? And that'll be it. You have to face your weeds. Hope that answers your question, Jake. A lot of energy there in the Aries. The next question goes to Julie Ross. Hi, Julie. And she's actually asking 2 small questions. She wants to know what cause and influence the different sized houses have in a chart. If you've run a chart, you've noticed that the houses will be different sizes. That's actually only in the Placidus house system. There's other house systems where they're not as disproportionate. And it has to do with the psychology of where to draw the houses. The house drawing psychology is probably one of the most debatable things in astrology to this day. Astrologers choose the house system that they want, and it kind of depends on where they gravitate. I gravitate towards the Placidus system. I don't fully understand how it works, to be honest with you. It has to do with some sort of algorithm where the houses are weighted or sized according to how much energy is in the house. So you'll notice the big houses on your chart have a lot of planets in them, and the small houses have no planets in them, okay? And what this ultimately represents, to answer your question, is obviously a big house is a big deal, and a small house is a small deal. Big houses mean that when planets transit through the houses, they're going to spend more time on a particular topic, right? The signs, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Virgo, those are always 30 degrees, always. Those do not change in size ever. But the houses do expand and contract. So the houses tell us how much of your soul do you dedicate to this area. So if you have a really big 7th house, you dedicate a really big portion of your energy to marriages and partnerships, right? Which also means to keep the circle in balance, the 1st house has to be an equal size. So with big marriages come big egos, or the need for big egos. With big careers come the need for big self-nurturing, big 4th houses, etc. It also means that as the planet transits through the house, now it'll only, like for instance, the sun takes 30 days through a sign, right? 1 degree a day. So the sun will go through, let's say, the Gemini portion of your 7th house in 30 days. But it'll still be in the 7th as the sun moves into Cancer. So although the sun is blazed through one sign, you're going to take a sign and a half to work on marriage issues. So it does kind of break down into time. Bigger houses mean longer transits, which means more focus on the topic and more time necessary. Also, with 2 different vibrations in the house of marriage, let's use that as an example. Let's say Gemini and Cancer. There's 2 sides of your marriage. You got 2 signs ruling or part of that house. So part of your marriage is camaraderie and communication with Gemini. Part of your marriage is nurturing and loving on each other and being mother and father for each other with Cancer. So again, it's taking more time. I hope that answers your question, Julie. And then you ask about the degree at the midheaven and the IC, what the degree has to do. The midheaven is the top of the chart, the 10th house cusp. The IC is the 4th house cusp. The degree is very important. I have a lot to say on degrees. I can't answer all of it. But I think the first thing that you can take a look at right off the bat is what chapter is the degree in. So if the degree is between 0 and 9 degrees, then that midheaven or IC is ruled by a chapter 1 issue. You know, from 10 degrees to 19 is chapter 2, and from 19 to 29 or whatever is chapter 3. Now in that chapter setup, you can determine how evolved you are. So if you have in chapter 1, you're working to be a chapter 1 of that sign. That's the midheaven. If it's in chapter 2, you're working to be a chapter 2 of that sign. That's the midheaven. In chapter 3, you're working to be chapter 3. Chapter 3 would be you're working to be a master at that sign. Chapter 2 means you're trying to get functional and get proficient with that energy. And chapter 1 is you're being introduced to the energy. So one thing you can do is you can look to see what chapter the degrees are. And then, for instance, let's give you an out there example. Let's say that your midheaven is in chapter 2 or chapter 3 of Scorpio. So that tells me, okay, you're working to be a master or really proficient in Scorpio, which means you're working to be proficient in boundaries. And when you see that, you can start to look to where other things in the chart are. Where's Pluto, the master of Scorpio? Okay, so if you're working to be a master Scorpio, let's say it's chapter 3, the degree of the midheaven is between 20 and 29 degrees. Well, where's Pluto? Oh, you might find that Pluto is also in chapter 3 and is in your 8th house. That would be a nice little symbolism. You got issues with boundaries and you're working to become a chapter 3 Scorpio. So look to see what chapters you come from. Now the IC is your childhood and where you come from in a past life. Again, what kind of childhood did you have? Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Where is that ruling planet of that sign? Where is it in your chart? What chapter is it in? What is it working to? Now you get a bigger, richer picture of degrees, the IC, and the midheaven. Hope that helps, Julie. All right, that's all I have for this episode of Just Ask Us. Keep posting your questions. I think I've shown that I will deliver, and I'll see you next time. Live, love, be.